Hello, everyone, and welcome to week four's lecture, which is going to be over chapter 14, which is lean supply chains. Lean is what I find is a absolutely fantastic topic. I love it. It really, when done right, can be a competitive advantage to your business, especially if your competitors aren't doing it at all. So we have a few learning objectives. Explain what lean production is, illustrate how lean concepts can be applied to the supply chain processes, analyze supply chain processes using value stream mapping, explain lean design principles, and apply lean concepts to service processes. So, Toyota New Global Architecture, TNGA, is the new generation of the Toyota manufacturing or Toyota production system. It standardizes the size and position of key components in all 5 platforms. It lowers the center of gravity while lowering the cost and improving performance. Improves responses, maintains comfort in ride. TNGA also has special rules for positioning pedals, steering column, driver seat, simplify the design so they can have a lot more core or legacy components that are shared, saving them money. TNGA affects mainly invisible parts. So the things that make a Camry or a 4Runner are not in scope for TNGA, but everything that is, quote, invisible or not cosmetic is in scope. It helps maintain smaller, more flexible factories. You can have less warehouse space for components. You can have less production lines for sub-assemblies. And it continues that lean tradition of Toyota. And as I talked about last week, Toyota is kind of the mother of this, the homeland of lean. Lean production, it is you cannot be halfway into lean. You have to be all the way in. It's an integrated activities designed to achieve high volume production using minimal inventories. Now, just because it says high volume production does not mean small companies cannot do lean. Everybody can do lean. I try to do lean in my home, and it drives my kids absolutely crazy. Involves the elimination of waste in production effort, involves the timing of production resources. Your parts arrive at the next station, work just in time. JIT, that's going to be a big topic you talk about, especially when you get into manufacturing environments. We do talk about the value chain. Each step in the supply chain should create value. If it does not create value, it should be removed. Customer value is something for which a customer is willing to pay, and then waste is anything that does not add value from the customer's perspective. Uncertainties and variabilities that are hard to control in service. So uncertainty in task time. So in theory, we can know exactly what a task is going to take time-wise, but each service delivery has some uniqueness and therefore variability in task times. Uncertainty in demand. Forecasts are uncertain. Manufacturing can buffer with finished goods and inventory, but services cannot. Capacity must be available when the demand arises. Customers' production roles. We can't control the customer production. Customers typically are involved in the production of a service. However, this introduces uncertainty. Lean production and Six Sigma. Lean production and Six Sigma work best in repeatable, standardized operations. You can use them in small areas. You can use them in batch production, job shop production, but they're going to have the most value in continuous production and in assembly line and in pseudo assembly line manufacturing. Many of the services, many of the processes are repeatable, and it is harder to standardize services. So lean is based on logic that nothing will be produced until it is needed. It's also a sale pulls a replacement from the last position in the system. That's a Kanban principle. This triggers the order in the factory production line, and then each upstream station then pulls from the next station further upstream until you get to your external suppliers and your raw material. The Toyota production system focuses on the elimination of waste. So we want to look at waste from overproduction, waste from waiting time, transportation waste, inventory waste, processing waste, waste of motion, waste from product defects. But it also focuses on respect for the people, lifetime employment for permanent positions, maintain level payrolls even when business conditions deteriorate. Because if you focus on lean, if you participate in lean, if you work lean and get the value from lean, you can afford to treat your people better. If they want to unionize, let them unionize. offer bonuses, offer profit sharing, and view workers as assets, um, and not an asset as like a piece of manufacturing. They're an asset to your company. They bring value to their company. Not as something that can be swapped out and changed, but something that brings value. So when we look at asset in the Toyota production system, it's talking about an asset brings value. It brings change. It helps you generate value. Lean supply chains, as a concept, as the concepts of Lean and Six Sigma have evolved and been applied to the supply chain, the goal of maximizing customer value has been added. The value stream is a value adding or non-value adding activities required to design, order, and provide the product or service from concept to launch. We order to delivery, the raw materials to the customers. When applied to supply chain, waste reduction relates to the optimization of the value adding activities and the elimination of those non value adding activities. So, when we look at lean focused supply chain and what are the components of it, what are the dimensions of it, we want to have lean suppliers. We want to coach our suppliers to be lean if they are not already lean. Because if you invest in your suppliers practicing lean, you will see lower cost, you will see cost savings. They'll be able to respond to changes. You'll have higher quality. You'll have better relationships because you're enabling them to be successful. We want to practice lean procurement. A key is automation, e-procurement, reducing a lot of the clerical efforts so we can focus on strategic actions. Suppliers must see the customer's operation, and the customers must see the supplier's operation. We've got to collaborate. We've got to be transparent. We've got to work together. And then lean warehousing. Eliminate non-value added steps and waste in the storage process. We want to look at lean logistics. How do we optimize the mode selection and pooling of orders? Can we combine multi-stop truckloads? Can we optimize our routing? Can we utilize cross-docking? How can we find value? How can we improve value in the import-export process? And lean customers. Can we understand our customers' business needs? Can we value? Can we help our customers value speed and flexibility? Can we help our customers adopt lean? And can we establish effective partnerships with suppliers because of our customers? When we look at value stream mapping is a special type of flow charting tool for developing of lean processes. It identifies the bottleneck, it removes the bottleneck, and then it identifies the next bottleneck and removes that bottleneck. There's always going to be a bottleneck. However, there does come a certain time when the improvement in the bottleneck is not worth the effort to improve it. So this is used to visualize the product flows through various processing steps. Also, it's called business process mapping. It illustrates information flows that result from the process, and it also illustrates information used to control flow through the process. We need a full understanding of our business, including production processes, the people, the steps, the equipment, everything that is involved in that. The technique is used to identify all of the value adding as well as the non-value adding processes that materials are subjected to within the plant. When we want to look at lean supply chain principles, what are lean layouts? Are we looking at group technology? Are we looking how to use automation? Are we looking at quality at the source? So not just focusing on quality within our organization, but also quality at our supplier's organization. And are we utilizing just-in-time production in our factory? And if we are, how do we enable, how do we empower, how do we design our supply base to support that? Lean production schedules. Are we looking at uniform plant loading? Are we looking ahead? We're optimizing how we run production to be the most optimal to reduce waste. Are we using Kanban as a production control system? So Kanban, we talked about earlier, when it's used, we pull the next. And it's almost like a library card system. Determine what parts should be Kanban, what parts should not be Kanban. Minimize our setup times, minimize our movements, minimize our waste. When we look at our supply chains and how we make them lean, are we looking at specialized suppliers that can bring more value? Are we collaborating with our suppliers? Because remember, they have to know our operations, we have to know their operations so that we can truly help each other and truly be lean, truly bring value. And doing all this, we can really work to build a lean supply chain. So going back, group technology is a philosophy in which similar parts are grouped into families. The process required to make these parts are arranged in a manufacturing cell. This eliminates movement. It helps cut down on waste. It cuts down on queue time. It removes the time that material is work in progress and gets it to the customer faster. It helps it generate revenue faster. Quality at the source, what we talked about, the quality at our supplier. Do it right the first time. If something goes wrong, stop the process and fix it. You want your suppliers to follow that. You want your suppliers to be working in a lean fashion just as you are. Because if you don't have lean on the back end of your supply chain, your lean is only going to be so effective. You want to empower your workers to see a problem, stop a problem, fix a problem. And empower your workers to do their own maintenance or bring in maintenance when preventive maintenance or retroactive maintenance is needed. Just-in-time production, we talked about a little bit already, but it's producing what is needed when it is needed and nothing more. So in order to do this, you do have to have an agile supply base that can support that. Lean production schedules. So we could have a level schedule which pulls material under the final assembly at a consistent rate, such as making an automobile. Freeze windows, the period of time during which the schedule is fixed and no further changes are possible. So Toyota could say we're going to make a camera LX for the next 6 weeks, and then the 6 weeks after we're going to make the LE. But we know that 3 weeks out from switching over to the LE, that is the freeze window. So those first 3 weeks of the LS, we can make the decision to extend LX production before we switch over to LE if we need to. Backflush is a calculation of how many of each part were required to produce the actual quantity of finished products needed, so accounting for scrap, accounting for fallout, and then uniform plant loading and smoothing the production flow to dampen schedule variation. Kanban means to sign, or instruction card in Japanese, and these cards are containers that are used. And the worker takes part A from a full container. The worker takes the withdrawal Kanban withdraws it from the container and takes the card to the machine center storage area. In the machine center storage area, a worker finds container A and part A. The worker moves to production Kanban and replaces it with a withdrawal. So it's once you use, you notify, and it's replaced, and it's just a continual flow of material. The cards on the rack almost become like a dispatch list for the material handlers and the material movers throughout your plant. And what this does is it minimizes the need for storage on your production floor so that you can use as high of a percentage of your production floor for production and revenue generation and not for storage of parts. Kanban squares are another approach. It's marked spaces on the floor to identify where material should be stored. It could be shelves that are color-coded. A container system is used to signal a device. Colored golf balls have been used to give signals. Lights on top of bins. You could have a tricolor light, and when you pull the last item, in theory, pull the card, you can turn the light from green to... So if maybe you have one part left in a bin, you turn it from green to yellow. When that last part comes out, you turn it to red, and they know they're out, and they come and they bring you new parts. Determine the number of Kanbans needed. So setting up a Kanban system requires determining the number of Kanban cards or containers needed. Each container represents a minimum lot size. An accurate estimate of lead time must be included. So the formula for Kanban is the expected demand during lead time plus safety stock divided by the size of the container. Lean supply chains, when we look at small specialized plant rather than large vertically integrated plants can bring value. They can be constructed faster, they can expand capacity faster, and they can make products usually at a lower cost. This allows you to collaborate with your suppliers and really show your value to the supplier and let them show their value to you. To summarize, when we want to build a lean supply chain, value must be defined jointly for each product family based on the consumer's perception. It's all about what the consumer thinks of your product. All firms along the value stream must make an adequate return on their investments. Firms must work together to eliminate waste so overall target cost and ROIs are met. When cost targets are met, the firms will conduct new analysis to identify remaining waste and set new targets. And every participating firm has the right to examine every activity relevant to their value streams as a joint search for waste and joint search for value. The lean services, organize problem solving groups, upgrade housekeeping. We want to upgrade quality. We want to clarify process flow so that we can sustain them. Revising equipment and process technologies, once again, so we have better processes that we can sustain. We want to level the facility load. We want to eliminate unnecessary activities. Remember, remove waste, remove waste, remove waste. We want to reorganize physical configuration. We want to introduce demand pool scheduling, Kanban, and we want to develop supplier networks. So I guess the overall summary, lean production involves improving processes by eliminating waste and excess inventory. The just-in-time philosophy is the basis for this concept. It includes the entire supply chain with the goal of creating value for the customer by eliminating all non-value adding activities. Lean concepts can be applied to virtually all the processes in the supply chain. Key areas include production layout, the scheduling of production, and the design of the supply chain. Value stream mapping is a flow charting tool used to visualize, so it's also called business process mapping. The goal is to identify ways to lean the process, remove the bottleneck, find the next bottleneck, remove that bottleneck. Lean concepts can be successfully applied to service firms. And that is kind of the general topic on lean. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, always feel free to contact. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.